Hello, Diana from Diana Drager Designs. We are going to talk about wedding flowers today. And it's kind of ironic. I had this idea because I did a photo shoot the other day with some amazing photographers, Brianna Griepentrag and Allison Haid, and there'll be all kinds of Instagram stuff and all kinds of info out about them. And so I have some flowers left over. And I thought, well, I will do some wedding features, some videos. And first of all, I want to say I don't totally advocate for brides doing their own flowers because I'm a florist and I feel like you want to leave that to someone who can do that for you and make it fantastic. But that all being said, if that's the direction you'd like to go, let's learn how to do it and do it really simple. Like, I feel like fresh flowers are still more special for your wedding than artificial flowers. And artificial flowers, faux flowers, have a place in the world for sure. There's some great ones and they're beautiful. But I think for a wedding, fresh flowers are just more special. And they don't have to be crazy expensive, and they can be really simple. And so let's just have some fun. So I did a little prep so that it wouldn't, you wouldn't have to watch me cutting off stems. But I get the flowers ready kind of in lengths that are kind of manageable, and then I'll work with them, cut them down a little bit more later. I have some huge open roses. Now, they're not a garden rose, so they're not the crazy expensive ones. The variety is called Soul, and they've been out of water, or out of the cooler and everything for, oh gosh, several days, since Wednesday. And they're opening just amazing, and they're still really fine. So it's kind of cool. So that's a thing right there, a trick to have effective wedding bouquets is let the flowers open a little bit, especially the roses. You're just going to get a lot more mileage out of them. So I'm going to do a little bridesmaid bouquet with 3 roses, 3 big roses, and that's going to be the story. And then I'll show you a couple of variations. So here we go. Here's gathering 3 roses in my hand, and just rather loose, so you can kind of mess with the placement a little bit so that they're kind of balanced. And then we'll put a little foliage. I love it that foliage is back in popular. There was a time a few years ago where brides would come to me and say, I don't want any greens showing, and it made me crazy because flowers have foliage on them. So I'm glad that's over, at least for now. So I have some seeded eucalyptus. It's just coming back in season, so the seeds are real small and delicate, but really pretty. So I place it around in kind of a circular form. So just keep my fingers around it rather loose, and then turn it, and then lay the next piece so that it always kind of goes at a kind of a circular motion. So there I'm laying the piece of foliage in the back, turn, and then take another piece. That's why it's nice to have this all kind of cut up and ready to go. You can adjust as you go a little bit. So I've turned it, and I'll place that right there. And okay, so, and then I've got the silver dollar eucalyptus that was especially pretty. So I'll do that into, just to add another texture. Oh, let's see, and I'm just fussy. I have to always find just the right piece. Okay, take off a couple of leaves. And see, these are sticking up a little bit, so I want them to flare out a little bit more. Okay, so there we have a very, very simple bridesmaid bouquet. 3 flowers. I have this Oasis bind wire. It's basically a very fine wire wrapped in paper, and it just works really well. So I take that bind wire, and I usually double it just because, and then place it around right where my hands are, right at the top of the bouquet, if you can see. And then do a twist. You don't want to strangle them, but you want them to hold. So I do kind of a twist kind of thing, and then like a twisty tie, and then twist it together like So, okay, there we have, and then all we have to do is take an organza ribbon. The organza works best because the flowers need to go in water. So the organza ribbon is just real fine. It's, I guess, polyester would be the type of fabric I'm thinking. Not positive about that. I think so though. Or rayon or something, but it doesn't stain. So I would tie a really nice tie around the bouquet and then do a little braiding thing. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you a couple of other variations with this bouquet. So here are the 3 roses. So what if we wanted to add some green trick dianthus? Love this stuff. It's like a big puff ball, and it's in the carnation family. So I get such a kick out of it. There's still carnation snobs around that, oh, we hate carnations, but this is actually in the carnation family. I'm gonna place that in between the roses and see what it looks like. Some of these are kind of big. You might have to trim those back a little bit, and they could be, little pieces could go in like your boutonnieres and such. So I'll show you how to do this, and then when you really don't want to do it, just have me do it for you, and then that'll work out great. But you can really keep it simple and keep it fun. Okay. I'm going to put one more rose like right down into the center. And there so it's kind of symmetrical, but fun with all the foliage. So there we go. And you know, this technique actually works for, if this hand-tied style actually works if you want to create like canning jars or miscellaneous little centerpieces for tablescapes. You can do this hand-tied kind of thing, chop them up and just pop them in. That way you can kind of do them all fast, and you don't have to arrange it right in the container. You can get them all ready ahead of time and then just pop them in. So it can be a bouquet to carry, or it can be little centerpieces. Okay, so that's another style. I'm going to take the dianthus out, and we're going to make a bride's bouquet. So we're just going to make this bigger. The bride's bouquet, that's one rule that I have. People always ask, well, what rules do you have? Well, one rule, I mean, there are definitely design, techniques and kind of rules surrounding that, but most of those can be broken. But one rule I have is the bride's bouquet has to be bigger than the bridesmaids. So now I'm placing the big roses in between, and they're called sole, in between. So it's kind of working in threes. I don't always do that, but in this case it kind of works because it helps kind of balance. So you do the, one in the middle, and then three in between, and it just kind of helps keep it balanced and rounded. And I mean, these roses are an absolute dream, I have to admit, because they're so big and juicy, and they're still going to hold up. I mean, these have been out of water since Wednesday, and they're still fabulous. So here we go. Now that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 roses. Now how amazing is that for a beautiful bride? Now this is a gorgeous, gorgeous flower. Got these at one of my wholesalers, and it's called Lysianthus. They're just so yummy, beautiful, and so sweet and precious, and oh my gosh, all good things. This happens to be really pure white, and I've never seen a nicer bunch, I don't think. So I'm gonna break it apart a little bit, and then just kind of gently place in between, because the stems are pretty, well, kind of somewhat fragile. I'm gonna place it in between. Let's see if I can turn this a little bit. In between, it's hard to see with the white on white, but putting it in between the roses, just for a little variance and texture. So, and this is the trick with doing this, is keeping your hand loose enough so that you can place other flowers in, and tight enough so it doesn't all fall apart. So there are some techniques that we florists know how to do. that when you get frustrated, just, you know, and you want someone to help you with your flowers, just have the professional do them. If you want to play, you're always welcome to do that. It's not trying to discourage, that's why I'm teaching a little bit. Okay, so a little more Lisianthus. It's just so, so sweet. Laying it in between the other flowers. And still, I keep turning it. I keep turning the bouquet to keep the balance. And then after, you know, I may have to do some tweaking and pulling and, you know, adjusting and all that. That's all comes with the territory, like I will do right now. So I'm just kind of pulling because my hand is holding them, but still fairly loosely, so that I can still move them around and pull them up, and because sometimes they sink down when you're working with them. Okay, so this is looking good. Put a little more foliage underneath. It's important to create a collar of foliage around the back so that when you tie it off, that you're not clipping stems off. So that's real important, a nice mix of foliage. And then it looks finished on the back as well. So that's the back of it. I always have to, in my very early years of floral design and learning and going to school, one of the teachers said, you have to wash behind your ears, and that was the term for, or the phrase for covering the back and covering your mechanics and making it so it looks finished. Because people always pick things up and turn them over, so you want it to look like it's finished on the back as well. So I'm going to take that bind wire and bind this off, and then I'm going to show you another style. So there we go. Now another tool that is just crucial and amazing, you can always contact me if you'd like one. It's a bunch cutter. And it's a little different than a wire cutter, different than, because it has a little bit of a serrated edge and a spring. So like in a bouquet like this, now I want to make the stems all kind of the same length. So I will just chop, chop, chop. And I'll take off some of this foliage that's gotten down in between there. And then I would finish it off with ribbon. But there it is. Let's see if it stands up. Kind of, sort of. And it does. Voila. Okay, I'll set that one aside. Let's see if it'll stand again. There we go. And clean it up a little bit. I just threw everything on the floor. I thought it'd be easier to sweep it up after. So, to make it fast. All right. Carnations. I worked with some really pretty carnations. It's in the antique series, and it's kind of an antique blush. Has a bit of peachy, blush, pink, and green. They're really lovely. So I'm going to take this. I have a number of stems here, 1, 2, 3, like 7. I'm going to cut these off a little bit just so that they're easier to work with because they're a little bit long. So we'll just take this amazing bunch cutter and do that. Okay, so carnations have been a staple in the industry forever, and they're coming out with beautiful colors, new colors all the time, and they still remain really reasonable, long lasting. I mean, they don't have to be the main focus of anything, but they sure have their place and can add a lot of pizzazz and bulk. You know, when you need a fullness, they work really great. I tucked carnations into a long garland for the centerpiece, garland centerpiece that we did for the photo shoot, and the carnations worked really well. They have texture, color, and form, and everything that you could want. So, okay, so we're going to do carnations and spray roses, and this spray rose is called Majolica, and it has a little bit of a green peachy cast as well. They were from Trader Joe's. Fabulous. So we're going to do carnations and the spray roses, and then we'll do some more seeded eucalyptus. So here's this big stem, and I'm going to cut it into pieces that will be usable for the bouquet. again, where the bunch cutter really comes in handy. I'm a knife girl when it comes to cutting the stems, but when to cut greens and things like this, the bunch cutter works fantastic. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna take carnations. I'm gonna do it in 3s. And I may put the rows, so here we have 3. And let's do another 3. So lay it in between and turn. Lay it in between and turn. And lay it in between. Okay, so then it's very round and puffy. Now we want to center, so I'm going to take the spray rose and put it right down into the center. We'll see how this works. Okay, that'll work. And then you can kind of spread the spray roses around without bending them too much and breaking them. Okay, and then another stem of spray roses. Sometimes at this stage it looks like, oh my gosh, how is this going to turn out? Take off the little spray roses on the sides and I can show you a really great trick for doing a boutonniere as well. Might be a different video, but we'll see how we do on time. Okay, so in between, get the spray roses in there, and then we'll have to do a little adjusting with our carnations. Okay. So sometimes for me, even at this point, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just looking crazy. But just keep adjusting, pulling it up and around. Okay, and then another carnation here. All right. Okay, let's do the eucalyptus. Again, it's kind of creating a collar, so I'm putting that underneath and then turn and do another stem of eucalyptus. Turn. And this stem is kind of V-shaped, but I'm still gonna like squeeze it together and still I'm gonna be able to use it. So now this bouquet would look really nice with all the blush colored dresses, the kind of flesh toned palette that's really pretty popular right now. It would work really well. Or like the soft mint green, it would be beautiful. So lots of possibilities. Okay. All right, now, it's really sweet. Okay, so there is carnations and spray roses. Let me just do that little tie at the top. Now I'm gonna try the green trick dianthus in here just to see how it looks. And if it doesn't look good, we just take them back out. I'm gonna go in between the other flowers and then kind of pull those up, pull the carnations up and around. We'll just see if we like it. These are pretty big and kind of might take over a little bit, but we'll see. What do you think? Kind of liking it. I like the texture, the fun, and placing it in between. The key, again, is keeping your hands loose so that you can move things around and adjust and play with it. Sometimes they sink down and then you have to pull them all back up again. Okay. And sometimes, full disclosure, sometimes I just don't like how it's going and I just lay the whole thing down and start over. So even after, you know, thousands of wedding bouquets, I still have that happen once in a while where it's just like, oh, this just isn't working, start over. No problem in doing that. Okay, this is looking kind of cool. Another piece of eucalyptus, and I think that green adds kind of a fun little texture to it. Here we go. All right, bridesmaid. The bride and the bridesmaid. Okay. Now another one. I think I have to steal the greens off of this one so I can show you. Another flower that has been around for ages, kind of forever, are mums, and this one is called a disc bud, and they're pure white with a really chartreuse green, like right into the center. Very reasonable. Gonna start with, I think I'm gonna do 3 to just show you the, like this could be the bridesmaid version. They look a little bit like a dahlia, but way less expensive. Okay, so if we just had 3 and we did the foliage, I'm gonna lay, so I'm just holding the 3, I'm gonna put this foliage underneath. This would be about as simple as you could possibly get, and really cost effective and really pretty. Okay. And there could be other foliages mixed in with it. Okay, so there's just the mums and a little bit of the eucalyptus. It's really working pretty well. Not bad at all. Now I'm going to expand on it. So this could be the bridesmaid. Very, very simple, pretty, tie it, and sometimes even a drama with ribbon. If we tie it with the organza ribbon and then leave the streamers long, that adds maybe do another ribbon or something, and it adds drama with really not a lot of expense, and it just looks a little bit more wowness. So that's something to think about. So we're gonna, this is the bridesmaid. Now we're gonna take a couple of the pieces of foliage off for now, and we're gonna make it for the bride. Got some white roses that I'm going to be adding, plus more of the mums. This would be good for a barn wedding look because it's got that casual kind of country feel maybe. That's a popular style for sure. Okay, so now that's the mums. I'm gonna take a rose and put it right down into the center. So that's where I open up my fingers a little bit so that the rose will slip in. And I pull up these guys around it. So there we have the rose in the center. And then I'm going to lay roses in between the mums. So you have to kind of pick up your hand underneath, pick up your thumb to like let it in and then close it again. Okay, let's see how this works. I'm trying to put them in between here. The next one, so I turned bouquet and spread those out a little bit and put the rose in between. Now, if you are planning to do your flowers yourself or have your bridesmaids help you, or have a group, you know, people helping, moms, aunts, whatever, for sure, flowers are more resilient than you think. You can definitely do them more than the day of, not the day of for sure. And even they don't need to be done the day before, maybe 2 days before. And, you know, keep them in water. It doesn't even necessarily have to be in a cooler. Like these haven't been, and they're still doing fine. So the next row is in between. It's gonna be a nice poofy, big, beautiful bride's bouquet. So that's another thing to ease your mind a little bit. Get it done ahead of time, and then, you know, watch and make sure it's hydrated and all that jazz. But you won't have that stress of the last day. Weddings kind of have their own stress around them enough that you don't need to give yourself more. You do want to enjoy it. That's the key. It's supposed to be fun. My kids' weddings have been 3 of the most amazingly fun experiences of my world. So you want to always make sure that it's fun and not too stressful or crazy. Okay. So this is round, and because of the roundness of those mums, it's just going to be very round and puffy, but that's the style. So, and we can change that with a little bit of the foliage. We can, you know, get it to be a little bit more wild and crazy. So here we go. That's with the roses and the mums. So we'll just add some more foliage around, keep turning. And when this isn't your career path and you're struggling a little bit, you could have help with tying it off. So you could hold it and someone else can come and do the wire, and that helps because sometimes it's hard to manage all of that in your hands at once, and then the whole thing falls apart and then everybody cries, and we don't want that. So, okay, this big piece of silver dollar eucalyptus I'm going to put in as well. See how cool that looks right in front to create that kind of a little bit crazy wowness. Okay, there we go. Mums, roses. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roses. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mums. And it's really pretty great. It's really gonna work. So we'll tie that off. We'll take some of the line wire, tie that off. And it is good to go. Okay, so then we would trim the ends. And at this point is where we would take the ribbon and do the ribbon treatment and go at least halfway down the stem so that it's nice to hold on to, and it dries off real easily when you just take a towel and dry it all off. So there we have it, wedding bouquets that you can do yourself. Trader Joe's flowers, some of them are from my amazing wholesalers, and some are from Trader Joe's, so you can really do some great things. Just have fun, and if you need help, let me know. I'll help you. Thanks for watching. More to come.